Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This week's top 10 list is a list that actually was one of the original lists I thought of when I first started doing top 10 lists. And of course, then I always come up with other ideas, and then you guys are kind enough to give me ideas as well. But this one was out of the original 25 lists that I came up with and just never got filmed. What is it? Well, it's the top 10 notes with boats. I thought of that and I'm like, okay, this should be pretty easy to do. Well, part of the problem was I didn't have 10 notes with boats. And, well, I do now. So let's get this list started off. Number 10 on the list. This one is just a replica. I do not have the original of this. All the rest are originals, but I didn't think I could not include this one on the list. This is from 1918, and it would be the $50 national currency. This is from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. So a Federal Reserve Bank note. I believe the Federal Reserve notes also had the same image on the back. And that image is the basically representation of the Panama Canal being finished. So on one side, you've got, it looks like a cruise ship, and that's probably the Pacific Ocean there. And on the other side, you have a battleship, probably the Atlantic. That's just how, if you were looking north at the Panama Canal, that's which oceans would be on each side. The Pacific here, the Atlantic here. And, you know, maybe they were thinking looking south and this would be a battleship on the Pacific Ocean. Either way, this one does show a battleship, and it does show a cruise line ship. So that is number 10 on the list, the 1918 $50 bill. Number 9 on the list, going way back. This one is from the 1850s. This was my $3 bill from the Tiverton Bank of Rhode Island. The $3 bill, when you look real close, it's got a train on one side. And for those of you who are wondering, I'm not going to do notes with trains because there are so many of those. But if you look in the background here, you can definitely see a steamer on the waterfront right there. So a $3 with a steamer from the Tiverton National Bank. Like I said, this one is from roughly 1850 or so. That is number 9 on the list. Number 8. Number 8, there are 2 of them, because I have them both. From 1862, you can see hand-dated 1862. Both of these hand-dated 1862. It's interesting because the dates aren't exactly the same. This one is August 13th. This one is August 19th. So that's pretty cool. And, of course, there are different signatures on them as well. This is the $100 bill from the Confederate States of America, the 1862 version. And it's called the Milkmaid note, or it's called the locomotive. And the distinction between the two here, this one has the steam going straight up. This one has the diffused steam. So why do I have a locomotive here? Well, if you look in the way back, you can see it's got a ship on the horizon there. And on the other version, the ship is much easier to see. They lightened up everything on the back. So you definitely have the ship in both of these notes from 1862. So this one is number 8 on the list, the 1862 CSA $100 note. Number 7, 1098, number 7 on the list. I brought up my 1869 Rainbow. 1869 Rainbow note. It's a legal tender from the 1869 series, obviously. The rainbow starts off with the blue, fades into the green. You've got the red there. You've got the bright green on the back. Yeah, quite a colorful note. Now, you may be wondering where the boat is. Well, if you look, this is actually Christopher Columbus on the deck of his ship as they first spot land. That's what this particular image is. So Christopher Columbus actually discovering land in the background right there. And you can see the people celebrating in the background. So that is number 7 on the list, the 1869 legal tender showing Columbus discovering land. Number 6 on the list. This is a $5 National Bank note. You can see July 18th, 1902. $5 National. This one is actually from Eau Claire, Wisconsin. That's kind of interesting because that's my home state. And if you're looking here for the boat, you're not going to see it because the boat is on the back. This is the Landing of the Pilgrims. You can see it even has that title right here on the bottom, Landing of the Pilgrims on Plymouth Rock. You can see the boat that they are taking to actually make the landing. So that would be number 6, 10, 9, 8, 7, number 6 on the list, a $5 National showing the landing at Plymouth Rock. Number 5 on the list gets kind of repetitive because it's also a $5 bill. Also, this one is a Federal Reserve note from 1914, or series of 1918. What do we got here? Series of 1914 is what it says on it. Now, this particular note has 2 boats. It has what we just saw, Christopher Columbus on the deck. And I will put this one side by side. It's the same image. Christopher Columbus spotting land. And it looks like the land's a little higher here compared to how low it is here. Yeah, here it's about even with this guy's hand. Here it's way up to his elbow. Either way, still Christopher Columbus on the deck of his ship when they encounter land. But wait, there's more, because if you go to the other side, it actually shows the landing of the Pilgrims. Now, if I grab the other note, you can see it's the same image. So it still counts as a boat. The same image, though, the landing at Plymouth Rock, landing of the Pilgrims. Yeah, same picture on there. So the 1914 $5 note has 2 images of boats. Both images were already used, but they put them both on the back. That one is number 5. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Number 4 on the list. Number 4 is from 1861. This one is a Confederate States of America $20 bill. And I don't know if I've done this particular note or not yet, but you can see it does have a 3-masted ship as the centerpiece, and it's got a couple more in the background if you look real close. Confederate States of America 1861 $20 note. One of the first series notes, and you can see this one's number 18. So obviously number 1 would be the first series. I believe this might have been the second series that was printed. Nothing exciting on the back of it, but we're doing notes with boats, so the exciting part is, of course, right there in the front and center. That is number 4 on the list. Number 3, a little tougher to get. Also a Confederate States of America note. Also not in the greatest of condition. This one is an 1862 $1 Confederate state note. And once again, it has a steamer that's got 2 masts on it. You can see the paddles. You can see the steam coming off here, and you can still see the sails. Now, this is interesting because it's wrong. It is very wrong. Look at the sails, how the sails are billowing out like that. What direction does that tell you that the wind is coming from? Oh, well, actually, no, that I guess would be correct. The wind would be coming from this direction, thus the steam is going this way. The odd part is that the boat would then be moving this way, so you would think the steam would be going that way. So there's a brain teaser for you. Which way should the steam that's coming off of that boat, which direction should that be going? Like I said, to me, it looks like the boat is moving that way, which means the steam should be moving that way. But you guys can determine that one. Plus, there's another boat in the background there. Like I said, 1862 $1 Confederate States of America. The $1 notes and the $2 notes from the Confederate States of America are very tough to come by because they were highly circulated. They weren't made with the greatest of paper, so they aren't in the best of shape. That's why this one is as rough as it is. That one is number 3. Number 2 on the list, I went with 1860s Citizen Bank of Louisiana $10 New Orleans note. This is the Dixie note. On the back of the note, it's got DIX. They were called Dixies. This is the note that kind of gave the South the nickname Dixieland. And of course, if you look, you can see another steamship. See, now this one here, even though it's got the masts and there are no sails on the masts that are up right now, you can see the steam coming off the ship, and obviously the ship is traveling in this direction and the steam is going backwards, so that kind of makes sense. In the background, you can see another one. And there is a third one right over here, possibly a fourth one even further back. So that is the Dixie Note from about 1860. That is number 2 on the list. Number 1, you probably knew this one before the list even started. From 1918, it is the $2 bill. This is a Federal Reserve Bank note. This particular note is probably one of the most famous notes with boats, and of course the inspiration for the list. This note from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York has the USS New York on the back. It has a World War I battleship. Like I said, essentially this is the USS New York on the back. Even though the other Federal Reserves also had the same boat on there, it's just neat to have the Federal Reserve Bank of New York have the USS New York on there. And if you look real close, you can even see that there are people on the deck there. World War I battleship from 1918. That is number 1 on the list. If you learned anything new this week, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you have any ideas for a list, go ahead and put those down below and I'll see if I can't make it happen. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.